All right, here is AMC, one we were looking at, obviously, because we expected a disaster quarter, right? This quarterly earnings, we expected a disaster, but the stock's up. It was down 7% in the normal trading session, though, so all things considered, it was still down from the day prior. So I did overall want to mention I kind of anticipated this. Even if the earnings were bad, I anticipated this because of the fact that, well, this is a stock that's been hammered pretty much beyond belief. We're talking on the year, still down 20%. At points, was down freaking 70+%. This thing was hit hard. And I think it deserved to be. When we talk about really their entire business completely shut down, it's why it got hit so hard, right? And you could have got some good buy-in points, no doubt. 52-week lows of $1.95 on this right now. So overall, I anticipated this quarter off of these earnings. I expected the stock to go flat. I mean, you couldn't expect it to go much more downward, right? I didn't expect a 4% rise, but if you consider the fact that it's still down on the day, it doesn't shock me at all. Well, let's look at these earnings. So if you look, I don't know what you want me to say. Quarter one non-GAAP EPS, I anticipated a worse than $2 number. They anticipated it was $1.50, I think. And I mean, you can go back in my video of the earnings reports to watch. I told you I anticipated an EPS number worse than $2, and they did post worse than $2. So I feel pretty good about that. Just from what I've seen with other companies, I anticipated that. And a GAAP EPS, and just catch me if I'm wrong here, down 20. GAAP EPS of negative $20.88, beat by 61 cents. What the freaking crap is that? I want to know how much that equates to. I'm very curious, and we're going to look at that. But revenue actually was in line for estimates, down 21.5% year over year, actually. Not bad. I anticipated a little bit of a miss on this as well, so pretty good that they kept it in line, and I think that's where the shareholders are buying back. I don't know. So, I don't know. I don't know about this. Revenue dropped 21% as expected. Embracing the impact of theaters beginning to close in Italy and across Europe in late February, and the U.S. revenues beginning to deteriorate in early March before the shutdown. After starting the year with 2 solid months of revenue growth compared to last year, in mid-March, we were forced to pivot the entire company to respond to the effects of the pandemic. Net loss came in at $2.17 billion. Holy crap. Now, all things considered, I want to tell you this right now. Uber has posted way worse numbers than this. Way worse numbers than this, right? And, the stock goes up from it. So, all things considered, in the middle of a pandemic, for AMC to post that number could be a lot worse. I'm not that upset with them. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. A company said it expected a loss of 2.12 to 2.42, so overall, it could be worse. The company took non-cash impairment charges of $1.8 billion tied to long-lived assets, indefinite-lived tangible assets, and goodwill. EBITDA came in at $3.1 million. That's a positive number. And attendance for the quarter fell 24.2%. In U.S. markets, it was down 27.8%. Internationally, it was down 16.2%. So interesting on that aspect. Average screens fell 17%. All right, let's look at some of these finer details real quick on AMC. Along with its Q1 earnings, AMC offered a detailed update on its plans to reopen theaters. Oh, that's right. The company has already reopened 10 theaters in Norway, Germany, Spain, and Portugal, and is currently expected to fully reopen globally in July. In the largest 2 territories, we are currently planning to reopen almost all of our U.S. and U.K. theaters in July to be positioned to showcase Warner Bros. Release of Christopher Nolan's Tenet, now slated for release on July 17th. followed by Disney's Mulan, now slated for July 24th. It also points to a robust slate for the rest of the year, highlighting Unhinged, Saint Maud, Antebellum, SpongeBob SquarePants, Wonder Woman 1984, A Quiet Place 2, Kingsman, Black Widow, Soul, Dune, West Side Story, and Top Gun Maverick. I feel like all those movies have already been made and they're just remaking them. That seems a little weird, but we are in active dialogue with Universal. No movies made by Universal Studios are currently on the docket. That's right. Universal pretty much said that they're going to be breaking ties with this company. The company's setting up detailed protocols for safety and is partnered with Clorox. They're going to be pouring bleach on all the seats so you can inject it. Here's this press release. They put it on dark mode on this one. I love that. Good for them. Let's look at this full release as we love to see it. Okay. Let's look at this. So what we'd like to see, we'll get into that balance sheet in just a little bit. So the company has taken and continues to take significant steps to preserve cash by eliminating non-essential costs. And again, that means stuff like furloughing employees. They implemented measures to reduce corporate level employment costs. Again, furloughs, as I mentioned. Bro, look at that. Cancellation of pending merit pay increases. You don't deserve it if you're not increasing, the turnout there. Nearly all contractor roles have been suspended. They suspended non-essential operating expenditures. We talk about the decrease in terms of the money they had to spend on supplies like food related, because obviously they're not doing any sort of food. And even when they start back up, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So the company expects to receive relief from the CARES Act in the following forms: approximately $18.5 million cash tax refunds. So you got to think about that with this payroll subsidy that they're getting. The dividend for them is going to have to pretty much shut down, right? As long as they have this government bill on their doorstep. And $18.5 million is not massive when you talk about a $2 billion loss, but it's something they can definitely repay as long as they get these theaters reopened, because next quarter is going to be a rough one for them. So definitely interesting there. We'll look at this balance sheet. No one wants the consolidated balance sheet. Give me the full deal, baby. I want that. I want it. Don't you dare. Don't you dare hide it from me. You're trying to hide it from me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Can you believe it? It's another company that just wants to hide from me. And the thing about it is, you know what? I'm not going to let it happen. I'm just not going to let it happen. So, what we're going to do, we're going to go back here and we're going to find out what we can do to find this, right? Oh, you darn stinker. You thought you could hide from me? You thought you could hide from me? Okay, what's this got for me? Boop. I don't want to look at this consolidated balance sheet. Let's be honest. We want to see what's going on with this company, and they just don't want me to. So, one last thing to check, because I want to see this. I want to see this. I want to see it. I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't include it on here. That just seems weird to me. Guess we'll look at the consolidated one for now and see what I'll be looking at it later. So, consolidated total assets on this company of 11.2 million, and that's versus 13 billion as of compared to a year, but compared to 3 months ago. So a decrease in terms of total assets on that perspective. Not something you like to see, especially with that net loss line. Son of a gun, that's ugly. So I don't know what to think for this company. Not something I would obviously buy into right now. If you talk about just what's going on with it, it's not a company that's going to recover for probably a year at this point. Um, I mean, the damage is done. The damage is done. You're going to expect another awful quarter next quarter. Stock is, it is what it is, but I'm not necessarily buying at these levels, even though the valuation is cheap. I'm speaking out of my mind. Valuation's very cheap on it, but this loss is going to be rough, and they're probably going to have to take another loan, in my opinion, for the next quarter. Just going to be honest with you. But hope you enjoyed.